Welcome back to What's Missing from the Science of Reading. I'm Karen Taylor. Our next section is about stress. What's missing? Accurate terminology and effective strategies for teaching all of these. And today it's stress. I'm going to start with just a little test for you. If you start clapping with this, just go ahead and start. Go ahead and clap with it like this. And I'm going to go ahead and see if this helps you notice stress. Can you see how clapping for, let's keep going, each syllable does very little for noticing stress? So clapping is very widely used to teach stress. In fact, in that letters module that Laura was engaged with that I've described in my previous video, she was trained in that training to clap out the syllables and then take a word like syllable and say syllable, syllable. And so we have children all over the country clapping out syllables and supposedly noticing where the stress is because their arms raised higher and their voice raised higher at the same time. And there's so much more to stress going on that this really doesn't make it very easy to notice it, especially when second language learners so often come from first languages that simply don't have the same kind of stress we do in English, if at all. Languages like Japanese don't really have syllable-based stress, and other languages have a different kind of stress, like a pitch-based stress, like Spanish. So we need good ways to draw attention to how English sounds. Just listen all the time on vowel I'm using there. How English sounds. We spend more time on vowel when we're especially passionate. And even when we're just speaking quickly, we're still using time on vowel on all of those stressed syllables, right? So it's a very particular feature of English. And if you're not trained to be aware of this, it's hidden from you because you're made to be able to go about your day without thinking about how you speak. So training is essential, and good training is essential. And I would say that clapping the syllables to finding the stress is not a smart or effective strategy. Okay. So here's a bit of what that looks like. You've got this person clapping. Learners are taught to clap out these syllables. It's not how we speak or how we read. Multilingual learners would have difficulty to identify the stress based on this. And don't forget that doing this is just ephemeral. Syllable. How am I supposed to hold on to that? How am I supposed to record that in my mind or integrate that into my understanding? And let's just take a moment to ask ourselves, how important is stress? Is it just that I'm, obsessed with it or very interested in it and want to spend 25 years of my life on it? Or is there really something to what I'm saying? So I thought I would kind of prove our case with a little audio for you. And here I'm going to make sure that hold on one second here. I'm going to make sure that my audio settings are correct. Somehow I've been on Zoom forever and I always have to check this. So let's check. All right. I'm going to play a little audio for you. This is from a piece of children's literature, and I'll try to play it twice for you. I'd like you to decide what you're hearing. Here we go.
There once was a velveteen rabbit, and in the beginning it was really splendid.
Did you get that? No? Would you like to hear it again? It was English. I know what I was saying in it. So this was me speaking English, where I'm putting the stresses in places we don't normally put the stresses. Listen one more time, and then we'll reveal. Here we go.
There once was a velveteen rabbit, and in the beginning it was really splendid.
Really splendid. You mean something else? Really splendid. What is that? Really splendid. Really splendid. So here's what you heard. There once was a velveteen rabbit, and in the beginning, he was really splendid. You can listen one more time. Here we go.
There once was a velveteen rabbit, and in the beginning, he was really splendid.
Now you can see, of course, what I was saying, and you can almost hear it. But without the written form, you had maybe no idea or little idea the first time for sure. Yeah. We rely on stress to match what is being said to our profile of how that's to sound in our mind. And that's how we are mutually comprehensible to one another, moving our mouths with our tongues doing things. And how is it that we understand this noise coming out of our mouths? And for English, stress is the central organizing feature of communication. It's how we catch each other's messages, and how we misunderstand each other is often either due to a fast speech where we're not using enough stress or something like that. So stress is very important. It's important to, the old joke, put the emphasis on the right syllable. So let's talk about a better way to teach stress. Um, I'd like to propose what we've been doing for years now very effectively is a simple markup, a visual markup for if you're looking at the word at that moment, which is here, syllable, okay? And the anchor image, if you have that privilege. Otherwise, you can simply write the word silver. And this markup goes together with a gesture. This is very important because many times you won't be showing the word, and I hope you won't be showing the word, because we have to give learners time with the spoken word to form the sound file that we all walk around with about how this word sounds. Syllable, syllable. I should just take away my own. You're looking at it right now. So let me take it away. Here we go, right? Just listen to it. Syllable or syllable. We can hear there's a big sound, that big sound has more time, and the time is occurring at the vowel, not anywhere else. It's not at the syllable, right? It's not at the S, and it's not the syllable. It's syllable, syllable. Any word of English is going to have one major stress. It might have others, but it will always have one major stress. And at that stress, you're going to have a vowel sound. And that vowel sound is going to receive time. So we can use a gesture. You can use a gesture. We teach teachers how to use the open hand with their learners because it's just a simple thing. We always have our hand. I think in other methods, we used to use rubber bands. Those are great too, but we always have our hand. And the time it takes to extend the arm is the time on vowel. It's very well metered. It's like a little measuring stick that we have when we extend. So syllable, syllable, syllable. Very simple. So that's the essence of the open hand. Let me get myself back to the presentation. Let's see. That's not it. That might be it. There we go. Great. All right. So we have syllable. Very functional. We now know where the stress is. Okay. Let's see how that works. Is that underline and the hand, are those two things together enough for the learner? I'm going to say it is. So I'm going to show you a video of what that looks like, how simple a correction can be. And in fact, how a correction, the idea of correction or even teaching, is shifted into what I would simply call guidance, where the learner does the work. The teacher simply does the prompting. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. All right. So this is a teacher, color vowel teacher named Liz Bigler. She's a wonderful tutor, and she's working here with a speaker of Japanese, a middle schooler. You'll actually hear him snacking during this session. But take a look at how brilliantly she's able to prompt him to make his own corrections. Here we go.
And she could hear the impatience in her voice downstairs.
Okay, what if I tell you that this word is gray day?
Gray day?
Mm-hmm.
Impatience.
Yep.
She couldn't believe this many people were here to see her. She was a novice.
Which one?
Novice.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that it's an olive sock word. Olive sock.
Olive sock. novice.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Most new performers never had this rush of crowd.
What's this word?
Crowd.
That word is brown cow.
Crowd.
Yep.
All right. So that's a pretty quick idea of how elegantly a teacher can help a learner know how a word sounds. He's decoding. We didn't have to use that word, but that's in the world of phonics and reading. He's decoding. He was mispronouncing these words. He's on the verge of creating inaccurate sound files for what these words really represent. And the teacher is able to provide him with an easy prompt that he knows how to make functional for him. Oh, it's brown? Okay, it's crowd. No, it's not crowed. Reasonable assumption, by the way, right? He understands that there are patterns. He's seen words like snow, and he's simply applying all of the different data that he has collected to say, well, that could be crowed. And it's not. It happens to be crowd. And he easily could have been right. He just wasn't. So the prompt allows him to make the self-correction, allows him to lay down the sound file. And that's pretty powerful. So yes, a gesture and an underline are sufficient. Many times it allows the learners to make that adjustment and allow for that profile with that stress syllable, the time on vowel. Okay. Some of the materials we create give you a sense of just how easily accessible this is for learners. Imagine this. This is one of our Color Vowel picture dictionary posters, right? Where if you look at this closely, you'll see that each word is simply presented. And I can use any green word. The word can be a word like teacher or people. Gosh, the word people, that doesn't show up in phonics programs because it's an outlier. We're not able to instruct that because it simply doesn't follow the rules. But here, all words are created equal. They're all presented as simply green words. And the protocol is very simple. And that is that you underline the stressed vowel letters that occur together. So it can be one letter, like in pizza, it can be the I, whereas EO in people, the EA in reading. In fact, if you spend time with this, and we do have these materials available, by the way, you can just go to our website and look around. We'll be able to guide you that way. But something like this allows a learner to learn words first. Word first learning, speech first learning with the written form. And over time, anybody can say, I'm going to spend some time here. And gosh, I noticed there are a couple different ways to spell the green sound, right? How many different ways can you spell the green sound? Notice how different that is from here's a letter. Here's the one sound I'm going to tell you it makes. And don't forget that it's, I'm hiding a bunch of stuff from you. I'm not going to tell you the rest until I think you're ready. This instead opens up the field to, green words. Here are the different ways they're spelled. And using some of the strategies we have around spelling exploration allows the learner to start sorting a given color of words by their spelling pattern. And you start to see the frequencies, like what are the spelling patterns that are most common in the green sound? And essentially we're able to, what's that word I want? We're able to retrofit or reverse engineer the very same kind of spelling intuition that we walk around with every day based on frequency and observation. But we're able to do it a little more explicitly with learners through our strategies of spelling exploration with specific steps and techniques, okay? But a lot more, I would call this a lot more honest, a lot more serviceable in the sense that we're learning words. These are everyday words. We can add words. Learners can add to this poster with their own words, their own drawings, and we can move beyond concrete nouns into adjectives and the larger lexicon of what we need. But this is a great start, okay? So just a glimpse there of how that looks, okay? And so I think I'm going to continue this. I was going to break off here, but let's continue. We're going to talk now about what else is missing. We're moving on from stress and directly into word families. I think this is a really nice segue, okay? In a lot of conventional science of reading based trainings, of which there are many, and many of which are, by the way, I'll just say again, They involve a lot of time, hundreds of hours, and a lot of expense. School systems are accustomed to the idea of just thousands and thousands of dollars per teacher, upwards of 10,000 in some cases. So you invest this much money in the teacher, and that better be a really great program because it's a lot of time and a lot of money. So let's see what's happening with word families in one of these types of trainings. Okay. So this is a quote directly from the letters training. The spelling, gets pretty technical. The spelling of a given morpheme often stays fairly consistent, even if the way it's pronounced changes. Now, we don't need to parse through this business here. What I'm interested in is even if. Like it's so marginalized. Like even if the way the sound changes, the pronunciation can change. So just looking at the words heal and health, for example, this particular training has verbiage in it that minimizes the importance of this difference. In other words, they say, look at these two. They're closely related because they're in the same word family. And so you say, okay, sure, I see HEAL and HEAL. And we're supposed to forgive or ignore, basically, the fact that these sound so different. Heal, health. And this is not one example of just a few. Take south, southern, right? Take sign, signature. So we have these changes of pronunciation, either in just the vowel sound or possibly in the stress placement. And we'll see a few examples here. Still taken straight from that training. Okay. This is the presentation they provide teachers with, again, their insistence that let's teach the fact that these roots stay present in the words across the word family. And yet, this simply isn't how we do this. I mean, when you say child, it's not children, right? Or wild, wilderness, deep, depth. These not deep and deepth, right? Not heal and health. All of these have pronunciation changes, and yet that's minimized in this training. Look at grateful, grateful, grateful. Then you say, okay, well, that's gratuity, gratuity, but it's not, right? So grateful changes to gratuity, grateful, gratuity, grateful, gratuity. Wouldn't it be nice if we could practice that and do something about it? Okay. In the color vowel approach, what we do, this will start to look really familiar, right? So we're not going to go and tell just part of the story. We can see that these are related with our eyes, but wouldn't it be nice if we also had the sound markup to show that we've got heal, health, green tea, heal, red pepper, health, gray day, grateful, blue moon, gratuity, right? So highly functional. We're up and running. We don't have to just look or just listen. We can do both. We can marry these in singular moments. It's what I call my epitome moment. If you ever struggled with a word and realized later, or maybe didn't struggle with it like me, and then later realized that you were saying it wrong the whole time. So for me, that was epitome until the one day I saw them. I saw it written and spoken at the same time. And I was in college by that point. And I heard the professor say epitome, and I saw it and I thought, oh my gosh, I've been saying epitome for years, right? So these little anecdotes help us realize that it's not just English learners who are vulnerable to this, but that they're exposed to a greater likelihood of having this become their daily and widespread struggle. Whereas epitome for me was one word out of hundreds of thousands of other words that I knew perfectly well and could say, right? We don't want learners decoding these with their eyes alone. We don't want them to decide this is grateful and grateful and gratuity. Gratuity. It's a new word for me. All right, let's move along and see what this can look like functionally. Okay, if we look at a word family like equal, okay, in the color vowel approach, we move beyond the written form. We can still have it up as we exercise, as the way we're going to right now. Okay, so we can lead a chant around this, that starts to create the sound file in the mind in a kind of embodied way. Okay, using a gesture just lights up that kinesthetic part of the mind and allows the mind to take in more information in a more kind of permanent way. And that's brain science, by the way. So if we take equal as a kind of base form for this word family, equal, we can then color out, not sound out, but color out that olive, sock, equality. Okay. Even if the learner is still stressing a little bit here and says equality, the hand opening on the A, equality, is going to create that sound file in a sufficient way. It's close enough, in other words. Okay. So we can chant equal, equality, equal, equality, 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 equality. Equal equation, equal equation, 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 equal equivalent, and so forth. There are lots of ways you can do a chant like that. So that one was pretty easy to follow, but we're saying these words over and over, and the chant is kind of distracting us with a kind of musical distraction, a musical fun that allows us to dig in and participate. Okay. A lot of that is in the color vowel approach to what we do with teachers and learners. So we've just visited two important topics that we had planned to, namely a way to teach stress that's much more accessible, and then also how that bridges into word forms like the ones you see here in this word family. Okay. In my next section, I'll finish up with one more very important topic, which will be long and short vowels, so-called long and short. I'll see you there.